Esta noche quiero presentarte una de las entrevistas más polémicas que vas a encontrar relacionada a exponentes del satanismo, pues se trata nada más ni nada menos que de David Maillat, a quien muchos han relacionado con Anton Long, uno de los más grandes impulsores de la Orden de los Nueve Ángulos. Dicha entrevista, realizada alrededor de los años 90, fue realizada por Nick Lawless en un bar de Londres para el programa Hope No Hate. Por lo mismo, el tono de la entrevista puede sonar agresiva y un tanto engañosa al tratarse de dos visiones del mundo totalmente distintas. También, recuerda que en esa época las grabaciones se hacían en cassette, por lo que en la recuperación del audio hay muchos momentos donde el sonido es muy malo o difícil de entender. De cualquier forma, hice lo posible por recuperar toda la información necesaria en los subtítulos. Cabe señalar que durante la entrevista se tocarán temas que pueden resultar muy desagradables para muchas personas, desde nacionalsocialismo, pasando por sacrificios humanos y desembocando en temas tan oscuros como el abuso infantil, por lo que se recomienda mucha discreción. Si bien, como alquimista de la oscuridad, me siento complacido y orgulloso por traerte por primera vez esta entrevista subtitulada al español, como no lo vas a encontrar en ningún otro lugar fácilmente, cabe recalcar que Alquimista de la Oscuridad no comparte muchas de las opiniones del entrevistado y que el propósito del video, como siempre, es meramente informativo y que el hereje conozca más del mundo oculto, así como de las personalidades que para bien o mal han hecho eco en el cosmos de esta rama tan oscura como fascinante llamada satanismo. ¿Estás lista o listo para un viaje muy interesante pero también un tanto perturbador? He aquí la entrevista completa de David Maillat, quien para muchos es Anton Long, totalmente subtitulada al español.
I don't know, I suppose in one way I'd like to know a bit more about you as a person, and obviously I've got questions. I believe that you are involved in Satanism or this satanic group organised in angles, and possibly a fraternity Boulder as well. I know I've read your stuff, you can obviously deny that, and you deny connections or whatever, but so yeah, at the end of the day it's basically an opportunity for me to kind of put that to you and ask for your opinions. Now you obviously say you've never had any connections with Order Nine Angles, do you?
What do you mean? I mean, what do you mean by the Order Nine Angles? Do you think it's actually a group, or do you think it is one person, or what?
I probably think it's a few people. I wouldn't say great number. Say a few people. So I don't know. So in terms of that, you know, I'm talking about an organisation, a satanic organisation, who call themselves the Order of Nine Angles. How it's structured, I haven't got a clue. But a collective of people.
Well, I mean, I deny being Satanist completely. Truthfully, I've never adhered to it. Never adhered to that particular.
Yeah. It's just read that swing behind.
I mean, at the end of the day, you've got to make your own assessment of the individual personality, and you have to make your own judgment about it. You don't.
But so are you saying you've never had a connection with?
I know one person who was involved with it a long time ago. This is a great deal of time ago, 20 odd years ago. But I've never been involved.
But I mean, how long ago were you involved or connected to this person?
Well, this was over 20 odd years ago.
Yeah, and since then you haven't had any connection with the group called themselves Organised? No. But how come? I was under the impression the Order of Nine Angles wasn't established until the early 80s.
I don't really know a great deal about that particular group, so I can't answer the question really. I mean, have you spoken to Michael Aquino in America?
I have seen stuff on the internet from him.
Well, perhaps you should contact him and hopefully this might clear the matter up. Because my understanding is that he's sort of now accepted that I have nothing whatsoever to do with this group, and this has been a misapprehension which has been going around since about 1988 or thereabouts.
Where did the allegation first come up?
Well, I believe it stemmed from somebody who used to be in his own particular group, who made an assumption that I was somebody else. And nobody had actually ever bothered to ask me directly whether I was this person or whether I used these particular pseudonyms.
But I mean, I'm under the impression that during the 80s, there were a number of articles which your name was attached to from the Order of Nine Angles.
I remember writing one article called about the Homeric gods or something along those lines. Yes.
But it attached you to the Order of Nine Angles.
Well, that was a mistake. I mean, I can't see. I don't know who did that, but things like that have been happening for a long time. For instance,
I mean, how someone made that, that assumption? How, you've written an article and someone's just happily put on an organisation which I think you yourself think's got less than 10 people. The organisation's not a household.
Yes, it's because people have made assumptions, and people have, not bothered to ask me whether, in fact, I am involved. It's as simple as that.
So,
and rumours go around, and people make allegations, and nobody takes the time or the effort. Unlike you, who are the first person in 20 years to ask these questions to me directly. Nobody's actually bothered to do that. They just all assume that something is as it is not.
So who was responsible for putting the Order of Nine Angles on?
I've no idea. I've no idea.
An article from the 80s, which is in your name.
Well, yes. I mean that's nothing at all to do with me.
So
No.
you didn't write that article?
No.
But can you understand why anyone?
Well, I can understand. Yes. Yeah. I mean, people have been putting things under my name for a long time. I mean, I'll just give one recent example. When I only just got on the internet a couple of months ago, and I found a website which was all about me. It was called the David Myatt homepage, and it was done by somebody in Australia, and it had a collection of writings, some of which were actually mine, but two of them which weren't. And so I contacted this person who ran the website and told him I had not written these two articles. One was about Einstein, and it was actually under my name, and he agreed to take it off. And I've since learned that particular item was put on various news groups on alternative politics or something like that under my name, and I actually had never written that article at all.
Right. I mean, I would argue that there is other evidence to suggest that you have been connected up. I mean, all right, let's clear it up. Let's say, what have you over the years been connected up with? So we can clarify.
The only thing that I have actually done is that I have tried to use or convert people who had been involved with various occult groups for National Socialism, and that is it. That has been my sole purpose.
So you accept you have had an association?
I have had an association with people who have been involved, but my association has only and ever always been for political purposes, never for any other purpose whatsoever.
Does that association continue? Do you still know people who are associated?
Not actively, no. I know some people who are still involved with things on that sort of political infiltration aspect, but that is all.
So again, they are continuing to this day. They are infiltrating these sorts of things.
That stopped a long time ago. That stopped 5-6 more years ago, simply because it was completely and utterly pointless, to be honest.
Right.
It served no purpose whatsoever.
But for example, on the internet pages, it's like Greek translation to you.
I have done some Greek translations, yes.
So, I mean, are you accepting that, for example, the poetry Sappho?
Oh yes, I translated some Sappho, yes.
But
I mean, I'm not responsible for who distributes and publishes my stuff. I mean, that Sappho, for instance, is being used by the University of Colorado, so I understand. I've never actually written to me and asked me if they could use it or put it on their website or whatever.
right. Again, are you saying the people behind the Order of Nine Angles have never asked you?
No, nobody's ever asked me. I mean, you're the first person who's come to me directly and said, are you involved with this? Can we use this? Can we do that?
Are you angry with them?
Of course I'm bloody angry, yes.
No, like people in the Order of Nine Angles have put your name on it.
Well, yes. Yes, because it's got me into this mess, apparently.
So, I mean, what is your view on the Order of Nine Angles?
It's a load of crap, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think its morality stinks. I think everything I know about it is completely against everything that I stand for and believe in.
Because this is obviously something from Red Watch, when the early Red Watch
Oh.
at 18.
Yeah.
And again, it associates you with...
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, this is just rumours that have been flying around for years and years and years. And the people who put this out didn't have the decency to write to me first and ask me whether these were true before they published it.
Do you know people, for example, Stephen Fox? Do you know him?
Well, I met him a long time ago in '88. Yes, when he was sort of thinking of setting up an educational trust to do with creating a farming type community.
Right.
And we talked about this, but nothing actually ever came of it. And he went his own way. This was a long time before this so-called fraternity was actually begun. So years before that.
So during your political history, I mean, you've been involved in the British movement, the National Front.
Yeah.
There was like Griffin Lee's.
Oh, the NDFN. I don't mention that.
Oh, right, that's what you're not impressed about. Yeah. I mean, for example, Thorman Press. That's you, is
No.
there isn't?
No, that's not me. I mean, I did do some work for them. I mean, people, again, it's something that people have made an assumption about, that this is me, whereas in fact it's not. It's something I did and helped towards for some time with regard to my translations in particular, and some political writings.
But how long ago did that finish?
What, mine personally? About 4 or 5 years ago, something like that.
So, how come there are several kind of National Socialist documents that you've used that come out of, for example, Leo Box 43 in Hereford, which you yourself run? How come there's Thorman Press printed and published Thorman Press documents that you've written much more recently?
Yeah, because people agree to publish my stuff and distribute it. I mean, if somebody comes to me and said, right, or I ask them, are you prepared to publish this and distribute it, and they say yes, I'm hardly likely under present political circumstances to say no. It's a question of distributing propaganda, getting stuff out.
But I mean, Thorman Press is connected to the Order of the Language, who produces their material as well.
Yes, yeah.
So
The person who did that obviously had a connection with that particular group.
So what I'm asking you, would you accept that you have an association with the characters involved?
I answered that question earlier on. I said, yes, I had an association with some of the people who were involved, but it was only and ever always for political purposes. It wasn't for anything else whatsoever. It was actually trying to convert them away from what they believed and what they were doing into something which was political.
Why did you see these people as potential good converts? I'm not saying whether they were or not.
Well, they didn't turn out to be very good converts, because I had this idea, in hindsight, regrettably, but being youthful and whatever, I had this idea over 25 years ago that it might be helpful to undermine the present system by infiltrating people into various positions in society, and then helping it towards a revolutionary situation which a political group might take advantage of. That was the idea.
But do you agree that, how do you view some of their practices and their behaviour?
Well, I think I've answered that question. I think, from what I understand of them, I think they're absolutely appalling, morally.
I mean, why then do you then decide to try to recruit those people rather than going...
convert them away from what they are into something which is better and much more morally upright than what they are. That's it. It's just like, for example, a Christian might want to convert somebody who they regard as a sinner. It's exactly the same type of belief. That
over the last few years, the Order of Nine Angles was operating out of a PO box in York. 228.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Not certain exactly what it
You
was.
ever had a connection with them?
No, not that. I think they did distribute some of my stuff at one time. I think. I can't honestly remember.
I mean, again, you were talking about that you didn't have any connection for 20 years, and yet some of your stuff used that by those people. Are they those people in NS Press?
No, I think NS Press was a front that somebody set up to distribute some material.
Yeah, but it used, at some stage, it used 228 as PO box.
Could have done, I can't.
I mean, well, yeah. I mean, for example, this is Do you know the people from the Black Order in New Zealand? Graham Wilson.
Never met Graham Wilson.
I mean, you've heard of him.
I've heard of him, yes. I think I wrote him a letter once about something to do with politics, yes.
So is that your only connection, one letter?
I may have written a few more letters, but I really can't remember. It's quite some time ago now.
No, because obviously, you know, he puts as his contacts the Order of Nine Angles. You know, that's would you accept that was the Order of Nine Angles address?
Well, I don't know really. Not being sort of parlay to all the things that go on. It may well have been. I don't really know. But the fact that he's put it there doesn't mean to say that, you know, it actually is.
Yeah, but I mean, fine, I accept that. But you know, the fact that he's obviously quite openly associated with this group in New Zealand, and he then advertised on the internet that their Nine Angles coming out of yours 228. I mean, unless he's mistaken, it's unlikely to be making it up.
Well, no, I don't know. I mean, probably. I can't answer for him, can I?
Yeah. I mean, for example, this I think is one of your documents that came out as 228. The NS Press. Yeah. I mean, that was one of Godric Redbeard's on the names that you used. You're smiling but not answering the question.
That particular document is a political document, which is written under a pseudonym for a very good reason.
Fine, but alright, let's put it this way. Is Godric Redbeard a name that you have used?
No, not particularly. I mean, somebody has used that pseudonym for a particular work which has been written. Due to the political nature of that work, you're not going to get me to admit the answer.
Well, alright, I'll put it quite simply. You have used the name Godric Redbeard. And you're smiling now, aren't you? You've used the name Godric Redbeard for some of your writings, for example, let's say Erin Homeland. I'm not talking about that.
It's a pseudonym which has been used for political purposes, yes.
Yeah, fine. But, so you're accepting that you have used that pseudonym for political purposes?
I'm accepting that pseudonym has been used for political purposes.
I mean,
now, you've got to be very careful here, because you must understand that I'm facing certain charges under the Public Order Act. Now, it could well be that the particular item that you have just drawn my attention to may be included in the charges of that. So therefore, I am not going to answer your question in the way that you desire me to answer your question.
Okay, I wasn't trying to spring a trap into what the contents of that.
No.
I was just asking.
I mean, and until I read through that article in detail and then be able to see whether in fact I have written that article, I'm not going to comment on it, because...
I mean, you have in a roundabout way admitted that you were responsible, because you said it might be one of the things that you might be charged with. Right, this document is the Aryan Homeland. Coming out of your PA, that was you, wasn't it? You wrote a number of letters.
I was involved with the setting up of the Aryan Kindred project, yes.
Using the name Godric Redbeard.
Once again, I mean, I refer to my previous answer, which I'm sticking to because of these charges which may be directed against me.
Right, okay, well let me just take you to... let's go back to the PO box in York.
I mean, really, you should be speaking to the person who had the post office box.
I intend to. Now, will you accept with me that the person who ran 228 is also the person who ran 248?
I don't know.
Well, no, but
you must ask him that.
Your material was put out.
My material has been put out all over the world from various places over many years, over a period of 10 years.
I'd like you to answer in the kind of honourable and honest way, in the sense of you knew the person who ran those two PO boxes.
I knew the person personally who ran those two post boxes. Yes.
And you still know that person?
Yes, I still know that person.
Yeah. That person is involved in your I
believe he has had some association with the occult in the past, but I'm not going to answer for him. He must answer his own questions. If you wish to put that question to him...
No, I intend to, but what I am saying is that what is your view about whether that... You're speaking for yourself, not for him, I accept, but what is your view in terms of Is that person, as far as you're aware, still connected with the Order of Nine?
I don't believe so, no.
You don't believe so?
No.
You don't deny? How long ago was this connection that you had?
I think it must be perhaps a few years ago. But he has since, in many ways, agreed to. He has since, in many ways, agreed to sort of change his attitude and opinions from what they were previously. So, in a sense, that has been a successful recruitment.
So, but, fine, well, do you,
Yes, of course I know Richard Knight. Yes.
and he has been up at least a year ago to the Order of Nine.
Then you must ask him that question.
But you're shrugging your shoulders. Why? As far as you're aware, I will ask him. I intend to ask him because he doesn't live far from me, does he? And that's where you're living now, isn't it? You aren't answering the question.
Yes, because you're trying to get me to admit to something
What? No,
based on
fine.
fallacious premises.
It's not. I'm asking if it's wrong. Say it.
As far as I'm aware, he has no current connection with that particular group that you
Has he
mentioned.
ever been Christoph Speaks?
I don't know.
Has he ever written up?
I've no idea if he has written articles under whatever pseudonyms he has written them under. My relationship with him has only never been a political relationship based upon National Socialism and a common interest in that particular philosophy.
Alright. Do you know who Christoph Speaks is?
I'm not going to answer that question because it's up to the person who
Alright, I'm not asking for a name, but you know who Christoph Speaks is.
I believe.
Someone who writes under the name Christoph.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So surely, if you're saying you haven't been involved for 20 odd years, that person, Christoph Speaks, has been involved.
I can't answer for him. Again, you must ask him that particular question. I'm not going to presume things about his involvement in things. It's only right that you ask him these questions.
How many people have been involved with the Order of Nine Angles in the last 8 years? Do you know?
One.
Just one.
Yes.
Christoph Speaks.
That is Mr. Mould.
Mr. Moult.
Mm.
What partner, Jo? Is she never involved in this?
I can't possibly comment about that. Again, that's something you have to ask her.
What about Robert Moore?
Robert Moore? Never heard of you. Never heard of Robert Moore. Sorry.
He
No,
lives in Shrewsbury now.
never heard of him.
Who used to live in Yorkshire.
Hmm?
He moved down to Shrewsbury. He runs the Nine Angles PO box.
Does he? This is news to me. I've never actually met him, and I've not heard his name before.
The only connection that you have had in recent times is through Richard Moult.
Yes.
So when you said to me earlier, you only knew one person connected in the last 20 years, it was France.
Well, you see, you're getting into.
Because obviously my intent, I want you to connect. Obviously I've got to ask some questions and try to connect.
I am telling you the truth. I can tell you the truth, given the fact that I've given my word to several people not to reveal certain things. So how can you expect?
So you are telling me the truth.
So how can you expect me to tell? If somebody says to me, don't divulge this to somebody else, then I can hardly go back on my word when I said no, I won't divulge that to somebody else.
Fine, but I mean, then it, obviously you can understand. To me, it's for other people. It look as though you were far more connected.
Well, fair enough. Yes, fair enough. But I mean, again, it's a question of personal judgment, isn't it?
If I was to say you are and have been associated with the politics of the Order of Nine Angles, you would accept.
On a political basis, only on a political basis, yes.
But if you find their practices so awful, why are you living with someone who is according to his
As
own
far as I am aware at the moment, he is not involved in anything of that nature at this moment in time, and has not been for some time.
for some time? What do you mean by some time?
Well, again, it's a question that you must ask him. I think it must be in the region of several years.
Several years. So
Yeah.
if I was to prove that I had stuff written about it within the last 2 or 3 years, you would say that someone just had put his name on it.
No, I don't know. I can't possibly answer that question.
Because it's all over the internet with his name, 1996, 97. He was interviewed in 96.
Well, I mean, that's a question that he must answer. I mean, as far as I'm aware, he has definitely not been involved in anything like that for over a year. And he has given me his personal assurance that that is so. Now, I can only take his word for it.
So would you feel disappointed and let down if he was involved in this one?
Yes, I would, because I was under the impression that I had converted him totally and utterly to the philosophy of National Socialism and everything that entails, and living a particular type of life. Yes, I would. Yes.
Okay, but I mean, I'm under suspicion that we're there for the time being. Why is things like honour and duty important? I mean, obviously you're right. Continually.
Yes, because they are the standards which I believe that people must live or strive to live their lives by, because that makes them into better individuals than they would be otherwise. I think honour is the deciding factor, or should be the deciding factor in a person's life, that they should strive to do what is honourable all of the time. That's an ideal which striving towards makes them into a better person. I've striven to do that myself personally over the last 4 or 5 years. I can't.
Do you think you've succeeded?
I will definitely say that I have not done anything I can consider, or anybody else consider, to be dishonourable during the time that I have been striving to do that. So in that sense, yes, I have succeeded. You've done me a favour, you know.
Sorry?
Do you realise you've done me a favour? You and other people. Oh, that's something I'm in the process of writing. I haven't actually finished, but you're welcome to sort of glance through it. You know that I resigned.
Sorry?
You know that I resigned from the leadership of the NSA.
I thought that it was moving in a direction.
Yeah, well, I have.
Was that out of choice or through being pushed?
It's out of choice.
Was it?
Yes.
Because I know there was somebody, because of these allegations.
Well, it's quite understandable, yes. I mean, these allegations don't seem to go away.
Is that because you don't answer many of the questions, and so you can't?
That's because
absolutely. That's because of your trust to other people.
Exactly. I mean, I am bound by oaths of loyalty which I have sworn to people, and that compromises me in some ways. So, therefore, it's a no-win situation in many ways, isn't it? Yes, of course, if you like. Yeah, it's a no-win situation. I cannot go against the oath that I've given to these people and thus, dishonour myself. And at the same time, I strive to be honourable and answer your questions honourably. But there are some instances when I cannot because of what other people have asked me not to say. So, it's a very difficult situation. Life's not that easy when you strive to live by certain ideals.
But it surely depends about how important those people are to compared to other things. Because, for example,
it's not a question of importance; it's a question of loyalty. If you give your word of loyalty to someone, it doesn't matter who the person is. You've given your word of loyalty, and you have to be loyal to that person. You have to uphold what it is that you've pledged to do.
But if those people are doing things that you so utterly oppose, surely there becomes a greater good.
There comes a point, obviously, when things become untenable, and when your greater duty is to things which are honourable rather than to the person who, by his own character and behaviour, has dishonoured himself. Therefore, you cannot, in truth, be honourable to somebody who's acted totally and utterly dishonourably. If you ask the question about the person that you mentioned earlier on, I am loyal to him in the personal sense, and so therefore I refuse to answer certain questions about him. And I maintain that loyalty now for the simple reason that I do believe wholeheartedly that I have managed to convince him of the value of honour and the value of striving to live by honourable ideals. Therefore, because of that change in him, I uphold that loyalty which I have sworn to give him. Now, were it the case that it could be proved to me either by him or by other people that he's done things which were totally and utterly dishonourable and repugnant to me, then I would be honour bound to ask him personally whether this allegation was true.
So how about human sacrifice?
About human sacrifice?
Well, all over the organised languages, they find themselves compared to others that take through and the issues. Do you support the idea? Do you support the idea of
No, of course not.
But don't you find it so?
I think you must make a distinction between rhetoric and practice. I mean, there's an awful lot of rhetoric around in occult groups, isn't there? Most of it is absolute nonsense. People say the most stupid, silly things. Whether in fact they actually believe what they're saying, whether they actually practice what they're saying, is another matter.
But doesn't that tell you something? These people, the quality and.
No, I meet people and I judge them as an individual, not what that they are alleged to have done or be associated with.
For example, in the Order of Nine Angles occasion, do you know that?
I've vaguely come across it over the years. Yeah.
For someone who originally claimed you'd only met one person over 20 years ago, you think
I actually had some correspondence.
The publication only started a few years ago.
No, I had some. You're wrong. Actually, I had some correspondence with a Jeffrey Kaplan. Have you heard of him?
I've heard the name.
He was based in Alaska, and apparently he's an academic. And he wrote to me a few years ago now, and he mentioned all these things. And he mentioned he was writing an article, and he mentioned Fenderer several times. So that's how I come to know it. And according to him, it actually began in sort of '88 or something like that.
Yeah. Relatively. I mean, not 25 years ago when you the only person that you was on Angles, he said originally. But in fact, it wasn't that. It was in some other publication. Rich Malt was interviewed. Do you know, he was asked about this thing about human sacrifice, and he said he's gone on record and it's on the internet that, you know, human practice is Satanism.
I can't answer for him, can I? How can I answer for him? I can't know whether he said that or.
I mean, if it was proved to you that he did write this, what did he say?
I'd have to go and ask him personally about this particular matter.
They talk about having tapes made up of physical marijuana, and I know your attitude towards drugs.
Yes, well, you should do. Yeah.
At the same time, they talk about cakes of marijuana, and then on the next solstice.
I'm not commenting on the specific things of the organisation. You asked me about the individual himself. Now, as to things like that, as far as I am aware, as I said, over the past year or so, he has not been involved in anything like that, and he has, in a sense, renounced all the things that I think he did believe in, or all the things he may have expressed his belief in along those lines.
But isn't it a bit of a coincidence that, you know, he and a number of other people have moved into Shropshire, and the Order of Nine Angles suddenly reappeared in Shropshire? Coincidence?
It could well be a coincidence, yes.
Because his partner Jo was involved in it as well, wasn't she?
I don't know. I can't comment about that. Something you'd have to ask her.
But is that you can't comment because you won't say because you've given a loyalty to it?
I've striven for years to actually try and make a policy of not replying to rumours and allegations about people or what they allege or supposed to have done without first asking those people about the specific allegations. I'm sorry, but you know, you have to accept that if you suddenly say to me, well, she's been involved in this, I can't say anything until I've actually approached the person first and got their side of the story. Because it would be dishonourable for me to actually say or comment about something that you allege this person has or has not done without me first asking that person. Because so many people just go around making comments and replying to allegations on behalf of somebody else, rather than go and ask the person individually, face to face, whether or not what is alleged to have been said or written or done has actually been done by them, and give them a chance for a personal reply. So again, you say that about this particular person, and I can't comment until I have asked that person and said to them.
But because your friendship with Richard Mott has gone on for quite a long time.
Yes, I've known him for some time. Yes, I have become friends with him only over the past year or so, in terms of friendship.
Well,
you know, I have known him.
He was putting out your material for 4 years.
Maybe, but I mean, lots of people doubt my material. Doesn't mean to say that they're my personal friend.
Lots of people.
Or somebody in America. I've never actually met the person in
That's one
America.
person in America. But here, quite regularly puts that material. You're also in constant connection with
No, it's
someone who, at the time, is
Yes, it doesn't make him. It doesn't make him my. It doesn't make him at that time my friend, does it?
But what I'm saying to you is that you have to admit you have had association with the minorities.
I have an association with somebody who may have been associated with it at one time.
But it's more than one person, isn't it? Because you accepted an someone 25 years ago. As far as I know, Richard Marx is under the age of 30. Isn't it?
I believe so. Yes, I don't know exactly what his age is.
It's about late 20s, 30s.
I don't know actually.
But you live like, I mean, you have a fair idea.
I have a fair idea, but I don't know whether it's sort of late 20s or early 30s.
I mean, so he's not the person that you 25 years
No,
ago.
he's not. I can't comment about the person 25 years ago because I have given my oath of loyalty here never to divulge his name under any circumstances whatsoever, simply because he is now a very established academic at a very prestigious university.
But it isn't it's slightly strange that is that man living in Oxford? Oxford University.
I make no comment.
But isn't it rather strange that you have been connected or associated with these people over 25 years and connected with an ideology that you claim that you despise? And ask you again, surely it's right to say that you have been associated with this group. You've known more than one person. You said you made.
I formulated a strategy decades ago to try and use people to infiltrate for political purposes. And at the time, I considered it was useful to approach occult-minded individuals because I considered they might have the qualities necessary to infiltrate.
Occultic practice individuals.
No, I have never believed that these people or anything. I don't believe that they do.
They write about them. So what does that say about psychology?
I don't know what it says about psychology. I don't know what it says about the people involved. But all I know that the people that I have known over the years have not been of the character to actually do anything like that, or else I would not have been associated with them.
I'm also under the belief that you used to, a few years ago, you used to run a PO box in Shrewsbury, PO box 700. Yeah.
I did for a little bit, then I gave it over to somebody else.
What specific bit was that?
Well, I was going to publish some of my Greek translations.
So in fact, are you saying that you didn't use it in the end?
Well, I used it for a little while, and then I gave it to somebody else.
But it was still held in your name.
So it may well have been, yes.
Went off to some industrial estate in Shrewsbury and put it behind the queue. Yeah?
I did open a post office box in Shrewsbury many years ago, yes.
Well, no, you also had post office box 235.
Can't remember the numbers now. I had lots of post office boxes at one time.
But 700, you accept that?
Well, I used that for a while for political purposes and for my Greek translations.
And then you handed it over.
Well, I'm not going to tell you that because
someone connected with the order.
I'm not going to say who it was or what they were connected with.
Was it connected with the order of magnitude? Well, can I show you a couple of documents? That's obviously your writings.
No, that's it. That's it. Yes, that came out under that.
Yeah. And comes off the internet.
We must have spent a lot of time on the internet.
Oh, I have. It worked. And again.
What's this?
This is the basic introduction. How do you explain both of them using that PO box?
I can only assume that the person whom I gave the box to actually used it for those particular purposes as well.
So how long did you have the box before handing it over?
That month, I think.
You only had it for a month, and you set it up.
I went in and signed the form. Yes, I believe.
Do you know how long that was in operation?
I don't know.
But right, this came out in 1993. So was that the sort of time
I really can't remember. I think it was definitely in the early 90s or something when it was set up.
And then you handed it over after that. I mean, I'm just trying.
I can't remember. I mean, it may have been actually before 93.
What, that you handed it over? But this came out. You put this out in 1993.
Yeah, I wrote it.
Yeah.
I think I wrote it in
came out-
93.
It was printed by then originally.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah.
So you were running the box at that time.
I can't remember exactly when I was running box. It was round in the early 90s sometime.
Do you accept that because it says here, okay, Duke Graham Wilson, I actually do have the original produced by you as well with me. But see, this, which is Order of Nine Angles, is 1992.
Is it?
So surely that.
No, as I said to you, I can't remember exactly.
David.
You're asking me when I opened that post office box, and I have no idea when I opened it. As I said, it's in the early 90s sometime.
But David, can you understand the suspicions people have wherever you go? The Order of Nine Angles seems to follow you.
No, it doesn't. No.
Order of Nine Angles came out of this PO box which you yourself had admitted that you set up.
Yeah, for political purposes and for
But the
translations.
Order of Nine Angles was operated from that box, Thornman Press, which is your press.
It's not my press, as I answered the question earlier on. I have had some stuff published by that.
If you from my position, I'm looking at two things.
Yeah.
You say you opened the box and you gave it over. Even if that's true, the Order of Nine Angles stuff came out before you wrote the other stuff.
Well, you forget that I've written dozens and dozens of stuff over the years, and I give this stuff out to people, and then they decide whether they're going to distribute it or publish it or whatever. And it's not up to me to say.
Well, then again, I go to the question.
I'm just happy to get it published and distributed.
Richard Malt lived in York. You're saying your only other connection to the Order of Nine Angles was 25 years ago. But then, hey presto, there's someone operating this box.
It doesn't necessarily mean that the person lived in Shrewsbury, does it?
Okay. But
I mean, have you thought of that? Have you thought of the fact that people can open post office boxes and not actually live in the place where they actually are?
But then there was a third person. You're saying there's one person you knew 25 years ago. There was another person you knew up in York.
You're making an assumption which may not necessarily be warranted by the facts if you review them from a different angle.
Like what? How do you review them?
I can't comment because
Tell me how can you review it differently?
because it may be one of those people that I have known.
But haven't admitted to it to me.
It could be one of the people that you have already mentioned who may have actually taken over that box in Shrewsbury.
Richard Malt. No.
I make no comment about that. It's something that you must ask him about.
Yeah, but again, isn't it slightly strange that at the same time as you were using it for political writing, that you were using it for political writing, someone else is using it. It might be someone else. So I even accept that. Someone else.
I didn't say I was using it for political writing. I said I opened it with the intention of using it for political writings and for my Greek translations.
Why do you study ancient Greek? Or Greek?
Why?
Yeah.
Because I'm interested in it.
It has nothing to do with the fact that Satanism, the word Satan, according to the Order of Nine Angles, comes from a Greek word. And so ancient Greek is actually quite important.
No. I studied it when I began studying it when I was in the monastery.
But by that stage you had already been connected.
No, I had been alleged to be connected with Satanism, and that is the difference.
So, are you saying you've never known Joe Short?
Well, of course I know Joe Short. We used to know Joe Short, yes.
You to say?
As to whether he is or not, I don't know. I mean, last time I saw Joe Short was in 1975, I think. As far as I was concerned, Joe Short was a political activist. First and foremost, that is what I knew Joe Short for.
First and foremost, but that wasn't the only reason.
Yes, it was. I knew Joe Short through political activity.
So
I knew nothing at all about his personal life whatsoever.
What about Vic Norris?
Never met the man.
You sure about that?
I am absolutely positive.
Have you ever corresponded?
I have never corresponded with Victor Norris.
No?
No.
Quite a lot of people say you.
Well, they are totally and utterly wrong. And if they do, and if they persist in that, then I will challenge them to produce the evidence. And should they persist in it, then I will challenge them physically to a duel, because I consider that to be a dishonourable allegation. I must make this. Can I just?
What is a duel? Let's talk about duel.
Okay, right. I was going to say to you, if you and people like you continue to publish allegations based on no evidence whatsoever, based on supposition, based on circumstance, which is not proof, and condemn a person through rumours, allegation, and circumstantial evidence, which may well be misconstrued, then I will feel it honour and duty bound to challenge the person who publishes that under whatever guise, be it in television or be it in newspapers or a magazine, to an actual physical duel to prove my own honour. And by a duel, I mean with deadly weapons. So there is a possibility of one of the participants being actually killed. That is what I mean by a duel.
Gun, or are you talking about?
Yes, I'm talking about a gun, or if you prefer, knives. If you are the challenge, if I challenge you to a duel because you publish lying, dishonourable.
Are you challenging me to a duel?
If you publish atrocious lies about me, yes, I will physically challenge you to a duel.
Where does this duel take place, or what's the?
It is for mutual agreement between us.
But I understand that the etiquette and rules of dueling, I can appoint someone to fight on my behalf.
You can. I will fight that. I will not appoint anybody. I will fight it myself.
But surely dueling is illegal.
I don't care about that particular law. I will fight it. I will fight it with pistols if necessary. I can call upon 5 or more people who can supply me with pistols at very short notice. So all I have to do is name a time and a place. And I'm serious. I am deadly serious in this. If people continue making these allegations, like I have with Browning, I will challenge them to a duel with deadly weapons, with the possibility that one of us will be dead at the end of it.
I mean, but you were saying that if they write things which are based on, I agree to you that the Automatic used the PO Box 700 at exactly the same time. I mean,
they're not. Look, you have asked me whether, in fact, I am connected with this Order of Nine Angles, whether I am involved with this Order of Nine Angles. I have been associated with some of people who've been involved with it on a personal and political basis, and that is it. I have never been involved in anything to do with that occult organisation. I have never been involved with anything occult.
Are you saying you've never been in it? Are you saying?
Yes, I've never been in this
Never what?
bloody organisation. Never once.
But you have admitted in text that you once infiltrated it.
Yes, of course. That doesn't mean to say I joined it, or I was a member, or I participated in it. It meant that
How can you be in it?
Quite easily. You can be an associate of people who were involved with it. I said one of the groups I infiltrated was the ONA for political purposes. Now, by that I meant that I met some people who were involved with it, and I got to know them. That is what I mean by that. I don't mean anything more than that. I have never done anything along those lines whatsoever in the whole of my life. And I defy anybody to prove that.
When you yourself write to say that you were, for a short time, one part of it, even for your own political reasons.
Oh, I mean, we're quibbling about words here. When I say part of it, when I say part, where was this? Where did you find that then?
It's one of the things that you put out last week. You said you did infiltrate it.
Yes, I said one of the groups that I infiltrated for political purposes was the ONA. But by infiltrate,
you've got to get involved.
No, you don't have to. No, you're making that assumption. You are assuming that to infiltrate something, you have to get involved with it in terms of occult practices and such like that. I'm saying that my infiltration only and ever was getting to know people on a personal basis and trying to convince them of political values and using their abilities, their finances or whatever for political purposes. That was my purpose in infiltration. It was nothing more than that. And that is all that I ever did. I met with people, I talked with people, and that is the sum total of my so-called involvement. Meeting people and talking with them.
Over what period? When? How long ago?
I first started, this is over 20 odd years ago.
Till when?
Oh, till a long time ago now.
So when?
About 89, 90, something like that.
So since, but then, when did you meet Richard Lockwood? When did you meet him?
Can't remember precisely. I think it was about 88, 89, something along those lines.
So for the last 10 years, 9 years, you have been associated with someone who's the leader of the Order of Nine Angles.
As to whether he's the leader of that group, I have no idea. It's something you have to ask him about.
I will.
Good, good,
I will.
good.
I will. But at the same time, what I'm saying to you, my allegation.
I met Rick. Look,
No, no,
let's clear this.
my allegation is quite clear. My allegation is that for a number of years you have been associated with finance.
Now, I have been associated with two people who were part of that group, and that is all. Only and ever two people.
I mean, the two most prominent people.
Whether they were prominent or not, it's something you must ask them about.
What about Stephen Cox and Marco Lockhart?
As far as I'm aware, Marco Lockhorst is a political person who's, and first and foremost, I don't know him for anything else. I've met him a few times. He's come along to some NSM meetings in a political capacity, and he has given me his word of honour that he is not involved in anything whatsoever to do with the occult or to do with anything with Stephen Cox, and I accept his word of honour.
So it is just a coincidence that they live in the same house?
It does seem a bit strange, doesn't it?
David, it's more than a bit strange.
Yes,
isn't it?
but what you must have to accept is that, of course, it's strange and of course it's noticed. And I have said to him several times, as Steve has, that he must give us his assurance that he is not involved in anything at all, and he has given me his word that he has not, and that he is just lodging at that. I don't think he lives there now. Actually, I think he's moved out with his girlfriend. Oh, is he still there? Oh, well, I mean, I've never actually been there, so I don't know. But
Who's moved out? Stephen Cox? Or?
No, Marco.
Yeah.
So, but he has given me his word of honour that he has no contact other than as a landlord with Stephen Cox, and I have accepted his word of honour on that.
But one can't you see
But I can.
an amazing coincidence all the way down the line?
Yeah, it's these sort of
About
coincidences.
60 Elmhurst Road, where they live.
Yeah.
You know, they live in the same building. Stephen Cox is the leader of the Fraternity of Boulder.
Fair enough. I mean, I don't know anything about the Fraternity of Boulder.
An organisation. Well, it talks about you on their internet site. It talks about
Does it?
It talks about your personal writings. At the
I
same
didn't know
time,
that.
At the same time, it's just closely associated with the Order of Nine Angles. At the same time, it is part of the Pan-European Black Order. They're two components of 5 groups. You know, then you've got Thormin Press in Shrewsbury. That's PO Box 700. Your writings and the Order of Nine Angles come out of the same PO Box.
Yes, but my writings come out from loads of other places as
They
well.
don't know. You tell me, apart from Japan and America, where else does it come
Oh,
out?
New Zealand.
Yes, but should we look at the New Zealand one? You know,
Mr. Kerry Bolter.
why don't you just admit to things? Because I think you're fully aware.
Because there's nothing to admit to.
By New Zealand, you're talking about PO Box 1627, Wellington.
And well, yeah, I think it's, yes.
Yes. Okay.
I believe they distribute my writings now, or at least some of them.
Yes, under Renaissance Press. Yeah. So here we are. Here's some of your writings. Destiny of the West, Cosmic Mind. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're by you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Strangely enough, though, the same PO box, the same man who runs it, seems to have a full list of Order of Nine Angles archives. How can you explain?
The same way I can explain, if you go into Blackwell's bookshop and you find yourself a book written by yourself in Blackwell's, it doesn't mean to say that you are associated with all the bloody books that are sold in Blackwell's bookshop.
We're not talking about Blackwell. We're not talking about.
We seem to be trying very hard to make a connection between people who distribute my writings and various other things. And I'm saying to you, I have allowed my writings to be distributed by anybody who is prepared to distribute them. What else they distribute, as in terms of a bookshop, is totally and utterly irrelevant to me, as long as they distribute my writings and circulate.
But we're not talking about bookshop. We're not talking about bookshop. Every single outlet, apart from the NSA outlet, every single outlet has churned out both things.
What about America?
Shrewsbury.
What about the...
Right, that's one, which I'm sure if I dig hard enough, I'll find something now.
Oh, you try very hard. I don't think you will.
235.
All right, what about...
Which was you?
What about...
235, which was you. Yeah?
What?
PO Box.
No, I don't remember that.
Years ago in
Two-
Tuesday.
Don't remember
About
235.
1990. Church Stretton before. PO Box 4.
No, I opened that originally, yeah.
That was also ordered 9 angles. You know what I mean? How can you explain?
Well, I've told you how I've explained
Yeah,
it.
you haven't explained it at all.
I have explained it. I have said that...
So, you
No.
haven't explained how every one of the PO boxes that you churn out your things also put out order of 9 angles. With the exception of this one in America.
Well, the exception of several in America, actually. I mean,
One a minute ago. But I'm talking about the ones in Britain, let's say.
because
Britain and New Zealand.
you're just concentrating on a few people who've distributed... What about... All right, what about Sigrun in Bradford? Come on, what about Sigrun in Bradford who distributed my writings?
And the person there, you know,
He was a Christian, I understand.
yes.
Yes.
And from what I hear as well, Yorkshire BNP were shocked with Richard Maltz. They found no Satanist stuff.
I can't comment about allegations to do with anybody else.
And what he told them was that he opened those PO boxes in York for you.
I can't comment on what other people have said or alleged to have said. I am saying what you're mentioning about post office boxes, and I'm saying what about the Bradford post office box which distributed my writings? You know, there's another one.
But I'm also talking about PO boxes that you yourself have set up. PO Box 4 in Church Stratton, PO Box 235 in Shrewsbury, PO Box 700 in Shrewsbury. They were opened by you.
For political purposes, yes.
And ordered 9 angles stuff
No, they were
sent out.
because I handed those boxes over to other people when I no longer had any use for them.
It's strange then that every time you hand the box over, after 56 million people in Britain, it just happens to pop into the order of 9 angles every time.
No, it's because I gave those boxes to people that I knew on a personal basis. So you're trying to make a connection between me and an organisation, which I have told you many times, on my word of honour, that I have not been associated with in the occult sense whatsoever. All you're doing is that you're making allegations regarding me and this group based on coincidences, based on other people, what they do.
Well, Richard Maltz told people he opened the PO boxes in York for you.
Well, I can't possibly comment on what he told people or is alleged to have told people.
Did you ask Richard Maltz to open those PO boxes?
I'm not going to answer that question because I can't recall.
You're not going to answer?
No, I'm not going to answer that question.
But that sounds as though you've got something to hide.
No, I've got nothing to hide in the terms of occult involvement whatsoever.
No, I'm asking him. Did you ask him?
I can't possibly comment along those lines for the simple reason, as I mentioned earlier on, those matters are sub judice connected with certain events in the past, as I believe some of the material which came out of that box may be used in evidence against me in a criminal prosecution to do with racial hatred.
I'm asking you if you asked him to open a box.
No comment. All right, then. All right. Do you want me to answer it directly and openly and honestly? No, I did not ask him to open that box.
Can you explain that he?
I cannot explain
two
it.
of them I'm talking about in York, not just one.
I can't explain it because that is an allegation which other people have said that have attributed things to him which he may not have said. So I can't explain.
So who is behind Thormid Press?
Well, as far as I understand it doesn't exist anymore.
Who was behind it?
I can't possibly comment on that because
Yeah.
I gave my word to the person.
All right. Were you part of Thormid Press? Because most of the stuff that came out of Post Office 43, your post office box in Hereford, was under the name Thormid Press.
I can't comment on that because I've given my word to the person who was involved with that. See, you're accusing me basically of being part of this organisation, aren't you? You're accusing me, I don't know,
or being associated.
of being associated with this organisation in the occult sense, aren't you? Basically.
No, well,
Come on, what are you actually accusing me of?
I'm accusing you of association with this group.
I've admitted to you that I have been associated with some people who've been involved with this group, but my association has always only and ever been for political ends, to try and convert these people to a political ideology and a particular way of life that I myself believe in and uphold. That has been my sole purpose.
But surely, in the process, all right, let's take...
Look, we're talking about things here which have been very covert, which have gone on very covertly for political purposes. Now, you can't expect somebody who's trying to work covertly for political purposes to, not to become prey to coincidences and stuff along those lines.
I would tend to think that there becomes, when a coincidence becomes more than a coincidence, where we've got six examples of it. I mean, when you first heard, Steve Sargent told you, when I met him at the court, and I asked about you in the order of line. I will say I only missed you by a few moments on that particular day. I have to ask you myself. You then circulated a document, an information bulletin, saying you for political reasons you got involved, you became connected to this group 20 years ago, just over 20 years ago for political reasons.
Yes.
Well, I'm saying to you, even if you go on the assumption of political reasons, that is not true, because you've had an ongoing association with people from...
I've had a friendship in latter years with somebody from that.
But it's more than one, isn't it?
Maybe two. It's two people, that's all. It's only and ever always been two people, nothing more.
But how come both the Temple of Set and the Church of Satan both believe that you...
Yeah, well, I contacted Michael Aquino of the Temple of Set some time ago and asked him directly about what he's been putting out on the internet about me, and he has since agreed, if you can ask him yourself if you want, he has agreed that he has based this on what somebody told him in 1988, and he has been repeating what somebody told him in 1988 ever since, without actually checking with me directly. He has always assumed that what this person told him was correct. Now, I have explained to him the basis of my involvement, and he has, and I understand it, he has accepted this, and so therefore, presumably, when people ask him in future who was involved or what the ONA is, he won't associate me with it.
But how do you also talk about the Church of Satan also talk about you?
I've no idea. People talk about me all the bloody time, unfortunately.
How come an organisation in America just pops up all the time?
Because they are just repeating rumours and allegations and circumstantial evidence, that is all. Because those sort of people don't have the honour or the integrity to go and ask somebody themselves about their involvement. Now, at the end of the day, I don't care how much evidence you produce to prove your circumstantial point. At the end of the day, I know myself, inside myself, what the truth of these allegations are. And no amount of evidence which you or anybody else can produce here or in a court of law would make any fundamental difference to the fact that I know inside myself that I have had no occult involvement with that organisation whatsoever. Now, if you take an example, Charlie Sargent was convicted of murder on the basis of testimony which was sworn to be true by two people. Now, either Charlie Sargent was guilty or he was not guilty. If he was innocent of what they said he was, those people have lied and the evidence has been misinterpreted or is false or wrong. It's the same with me. I know in my heart where the truth of these allegations lie. Whether you believe them or not, I'm getting rather annoyed about all this now.
I know, but what I'm saying,
you either accept your own researches, your own evidence which you produce, which other people say, or you accept my word. At the end of the day, it's entirely up to you. Now,
but see, I have never said that you are a practicing Satanist. Other people
have, yes.
Yeah.
But you are trying to make a narrow path and associate me in the public mind with...
What I am saying is that you are closely associated with this organisation.
I am not closely associated with it. I have known two people who may have been involved with it over a period of 20-odd years. Now, that is not a close association with it.
Including the two most important... They are the two most important...
I have no idea if they're the two most important members. You must ask them if they're...
One of whom you're living with now.
He has, as I've explained to you, I would not be doing that now if he still had an involvement with things of this nature. He has assured me, he has given me his word of honour that that no longer applies.
I mean, how come? How come?
Hey, just a minute, where did you get all those from?
Right.
I've seen some of those before.
Well, there you go. I don't have multiple copies. I think if you write to 5608, you can probably get some.
Oh, no, I mean, I know that. I know that. I don't think I've seen...
But, in some of the stuff, right, this is, in this Fenrir, you know, let me just read you the Girl
Go on, then.
Goddess.
The what?
The Girl Goddess, this article is written, and some of your translation goes alongside this article. One girl in particular stands out. I mean, she was 12 at the time, a slim thing with long, often unruly, sandy-coloured hair, whose eyes at times suggested sexual understanding to someone much older. Sometimes she would look at me and smile, as if she knew my secret, thrusting her burgeoning breasts out.
You'd have to read any more,
Yeah.
please. Don't
Please
don't read any more.
Like, that's my language, and that's what they produced in the early 90s when they were using your PO box.
They weren't using my post office box. They were using a post office box which I had given to somebody else.
But you were putting up stuff from that PO box.
I was not personally. I ever put anything out personally from that post office box. Other people put my stuff out from that post office box, which is not the same thing. The fact that somebody puts my writing out from a post office box does not mean that I am associated with that post office box.
You obviously give your permission for them to put stuff out.
I don't give my permission. I have said repeatedly over the past 10 or more years that I have no copyright, that my writings are not...
It's got copyright.
Well, it's wrong. The only copyright I've got...
It's got copyright on it.
Well,
Copyright.
yeah, that's bollocks. I have...
Are you saying you didn't like that?
I'm saying my writings are not copyright. I've said to people many times over the years that my political writings are not copyright, that anybody is free to distribute these in whatever way that they can for the purposes of political propaganda.
So if you were saying that you...
Look, can I just get this straight? Go on then.
One thing, right. You were saying that you do not run Storm in Press.
No,
You don't run it.
no.
Right. How come Storm in Press was coming out of PO Box 700, PO Box 43, which is yours, PO Box 248 in York? So obviously you are fairly well acquainted with the person who runs PO Box Storm in Press.
I've answered this question to you before, and I repeat it again. I can't possibly comment as to who the person was because
I'm not asking their name. I'm just saying to you. You must know that person quite well. Yeah.
I have associated with the person who runs that for a number of years
We talk
for a
about
political basis.
9 years or 20 years.
Different people.
Right, so it's not a bit different.
It's
Do you accept that? Do you accept? If I accept that you don't do it, which I don't really.
well, you don't, do you?
If I accept that if you saying you didn't do it, the person who was doing it was also connected with the Order on Language.
Well, I can't possibly comment about that because you'll have to ask the person who was doing that about whether he was involved.
So you said it was a number of
Well, I'm sure you could bloody well make the assumption as to who it is yourself, can't you?
No. Who was it? No, because if it's going on, because Storm in Press have been around long.
I have said to you-
Richard Moult got involved, so it's not Richard Moult.
I have said to you I've known two people involved with the ONA. Now, obviously by a process of deduction it has to be one of those two people, doesn't it?
So it's someone in the Oxfordshire area.
I'm not commenting about that. Who is this person anyway? Who do you think it is?
Then I can't comment on it, can I?
Come on, tell me.
Then I can't comment on it.
Why not?
It will be revealed in time.
Will it? Are you researching into this person, may I ask?
Sorry?
Are you researching into this person? No, come on, answer honestly.
Right.
Are you?
Right.
Because I want to
Does
know.
it concern you? Are you still in contact with this person?
I want to know.
Are you still in contact with this person?
I'm not going to comment about that.
Tell me if you're still in contact.
Are you going to tell me whether you're investigating this person or not?
Well, I mean, if you're not going to answer my questions, why should I answer? I'm interested in uncovering the truth.
Well, you have. Are you seriously interested in your truth? Do you honestly believe in the truth?
Seriously, some people don't want the truth. I do.
You do, seriously. That is what is in your heart.
Yeah.
Okay. I will accept then, on the basis of what you just said, that you are actually interested in the truth, which is fine and a noble thing to actually do.
But I would also say that I think the truth is you have had a long association with the Order of Nine Angles for at least 20 years.
What do you mean by association?
But you see, I've been careful with my words throughout. Other people might not be, and I know other people are looking at things. But I'm being careful with what I say. I'm saying you have been associated. Hence, I also think that you would know, through your association, even with individuals, you would have to know what sort of organisation this is. You yourself have said, you yourself have gone on record saying you infiltrated this group. Now, even if it's not participating in rituals or dancing around or whatever, you have had some involvement. Which means that you have had to understand what this group's about. You have to read their literature. Are you denying that you've never read?
I've read some of it. I haven't read all of it. No, I couldn't be bothered actually.
And hence, I would also argue that you would know some of the stuff that they write about, human rituals, that's the Gil Goddess, all these other little things that littered throughout. I mean, you can't read one single document of theirs without reading all this stuff. That's what I'm saying by association. You knowingly were associated with them and you knew what they were about.
I was knowingly associated with them for a particular political purpose, to try and use them for political ends and convert them from what they were into something which was much better.
But David, one may ask, why do you look to convert these people?
Because I've said
sexual fantasies of a 12-year-old. You know, we talk about sacrificing.
I have never associated.
Especially
I would not.
Particular hatred.
I would never associate with anybody who could write such scurrilous material as that. My association was limited to two people who I got to know on a personal basis, and I said to you earlier on that I accepted on a personal basis that those people that I did get to know would not have been involved in things of that nature. That is the sole basis on which I got to know these people. I assess them on an individual basis.
Yeah. But alright, we're almost coming to a conclusion. I think, you know, we're going around, a couple more things to ask, okay? Did you, just by chance, when you look back on your childhood, was it happy? You had a good time?
Is there some sort of psychological profile? I'm trying to understand.
I've read a lot of your writings.
It was incredibly happy by and large.
Y hasta aquí con la entrevista a David Mamet. Dime algo, ¿crees que en verdad sea Anton Long? ¿Qué tanto dijo de verdad y qué tanto consideras que mintió? ¿Quién será esa persona en Oxford que el mismo Mamet respeta con tanta vehemencia? Cuéntame tus hipótesis en los comentarios. Recuerda suscribirte, dar clic en la campanita, ser un hereje y así ser siempre tú quien termina esta historia.